Let's talk about something that doesn't always make headlines, but affects almost every aspect of daily life in Canada: the growing gap between the rich and the rest. At first glance, Canada appears to be a fair and prosperous country. But beneath the surface, the numbers tell a different story. Income inequality and wealth concentration have quietly reached record highs, and the consequences are being felt across generations, communities, and the entire economy. A country divided by wealth. Today in Canada, the top segment of households controls the vast majority of the nation's wealth. A small portion of families hold millions in assets, while a significant share of Canadians have little or no savings at all. Many are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling just to cover basic expenses like rent, groceries, and transportation. This isn't just about luxury versus necessity. It's about economic security versus constant uncertainty. While wealthier households continue to grow their assets through investments, real estate, and business ownership, lower and middle-income households are falling further behind. The wealth gap is widening faster than ever before. Why the gap is growing? Several forces are fueling this divide. First, wage growth has been slow for many workers, especially in entry-level or low-skill jobs. Even full-time employment no longer guarantees stability. At the same time, the cost of living, housing, food, childcare has risen dramatically, swallowing up most of the income gains that people do receive. Second, wealth is increasingly tied to assets, not salaries. People who already own property or have financial investments see their net worth multiply. Those who don't are stuck on the outside looking in. This means that inequality isn't only about income, it's about access to wealth-building opportunities. Housing, the breaking point. If you want to see inequality in real life, look at the housing market. Home ownership was once the foundation of the Canadian middle class, but in major cities like Toronto and Vancouver, home prices have skyrocketed to levels far beyond the reach of young and lower-income Canadians. Many young adults can't afford to move out, let alone buy a home. They delay starting families, postpone long-term plans, and feel like the system is rigged against them. Renters face constant stress: rising rents, limited supply, bidding wars for apartments, and landlords who can raise prices faster than wages can keep up. Meanwhile, those who bought property years ago are seeing their equity soar. Their wealth grows passively, while others can't even get in the door. Housing has become the most visible symbol of inequality in Canada. The generational divide, income inequality, is no longer just an economic issue. It's becoming a generational conflict. Older generations were able to buy homes at reasonable prices, access stable jobs, and build savings over time. Younger generations are inheriting a completely different world: high debt, low affordability, unstable work, and fewer opportunities. Many young Canadians feel like no matter how hard they work, the finish line keeps moving. This sense of hopelessness is dangerous. It fuels frustration, mistrust in institutions, and growing political polarization. Inequality doesn't just divide rich and poor, it divides past and future. How inequality shapes everyday life. The effects of inequality show up in subtle but powerful ways. Financial stress. More families rely on credit cards or loans just to make ends meet. Mental health strain. Constant financial pressure leads to anxiety, burnout, and depression. Reduced mobility. It's harder to move for job opportunities or invest in education. Weaker communities. When large groups are struggling, volunteerism, social trust, and community support all decline. Inequality doesn't just hurt individuals, it weakens the social fabric of the entire country. Why it matters for society and democracy. When too much wealth is concentrated at the top, it affects more than the economy. It influences politics. Those with wealth can shape policy, fund campaigns, and access power. Ordinary citizens feel like their voices don't matter. Trust in government declines. A healthy democracy depends on a strong middle class and equal access to opportunity. When people believe the system is fair, they participate, contribute, and build. But when they feel the system is stacked against them, they disengage or rise up. Inequality isn't just numbers on a chart. It's about the future of Canadian democracy. What's being done and why it's not enough yet. So, what is Canada doing about this? There are three major areas of debate. 1. Housing reform and supply governments are investing billions in affordable housing and trying to speed up construction. Supporters say this is essential to reduce prices. Critics argue that bureaucracy and zoning rules still slow everything down, making progress too slow to catch up to demand. 2. Income supports and tax credits. Some propose expanding financial support for low- and middle-income households to reduce poverty and insecurity. These programs help, but they don't address the root problem of stagnant wages and rising costs. There's also constant debate about how much support is too much and how to pay for it. 3. Taxing wealth and high incomes. There are calls for taxing capital gains more fairly, closing loopholes, or even introducing a wealth tax. Advocates say this would reduce concentration at the top and fund public services. Opponents warn it could hurt investment and drive wealth out of the country. This debate is intense and far from settled. Bold ideas. Is it time for bigger change? Beyond traditional policies, some Canadians are exploring new solutions such as basic income pilots, cooperative housing models, and community wealth-building strategies. These ideas aim to redesign the system, not just patch its flaws. Basic income experiments have shown promise in lowering poverty and improving health outcomes. But scaling such programs nationwide raises questions about cost and political will. It's becoming clear small tweaks may not be enough. The system itself may need a reset. Regional differences. One country, many realities. Inequality isn't the same everywhere. In big cities, housing and rent are the main drivers. In smaller towns and rural areas, the issue is access to high-paying jobs or basic services. Indigenous communities face unique and long-standing disparities in income, housing, employment, and infrastructure. Any national solution must include these communities, or the gap will continue. Canada's inequality problem has many different faces, and each requires a different approach. What happens next? The future depends on choices made right now. Will Canada build more affordable housing? Will it reform tax and wealth systems? Will it invest in the next generation? Or will it allow inequality to deepen until it becomes irreversible? One thing is certain. Inequality is not just an economic issue. It is social, generational, and deeply human. It affects the kind of country Canada will be in 10, 20, or 50 years. Final thought. Canada is a rich and capable nation. There is more than enough wealth to ensure that people can live with dignity, hope, and opportunity. But that requires intention. Inequality doesn't fix itself. It grows unless we act. This conversation isn't just about numbers. It's about whether hard work still leads to a better life, whether young people have a future, whether families can build stability, whether the system is fair, and, most importantly, will Canada choose to be a country where prosperity is concentrated in the hands of a few or shared by many? The answer to that question will define the next chapter of Canadian society. If you found this breakdown useful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next deep dive into how global economics impacts your daily life.